Money. You think about it every day. You worry about it every night. You work your whole damn life chasing it. But the problem is, you don't even understand it. You've been playing the money game blindfolded, and you've been programmed since birth to lose. From the first day you sat in a classroom, you were told the same fairy tale. Work hard, get good grades, get a safe job, save your money, and someday, maybe if you're lucky, you can retire with enough to scrape by. That's not financial advice, that's financial slavery. That's how they keep you in line. That's why you're broke. The system isn't broken. The system works perfectly, but it doesn't work for you. It works against you. It was designed to keep you working, paying taxes, staying scared, and never figuring out the truth. Money is a game, and like every game, there are rules. The rich know the rules. The poor don't. The rich bend the rules. The poor follow the rules they were taught in school. And guess what? That's why the gap between rich and poor keeps getting bigger every single day. You think saving money makes you smart? Wrong! Saving money makes you a sucker. Inflation eats it, taxes eat it, emergencies eat it. By the time you retire, your so-called savings won't even buy you the life you want. Meanwhile, the rich are multiplying their money every single second. They're investing, leveraging, compounding. You're hoarding pennies while they're moving millions. You're playing checkers while they're playing chess. And you don't even realize the game is rigged against you. Here's the brutal truth. The rules you were taught were never meant to make you rich. They were meant to make you obedient. They were meant to keep you in the herd, working for the people who actually understand the game. You were taught to fear debt. You were taught to fear risk. You were taught to fear failure. And that's exactly why you'll never break free, because the people who win at money aren't the ones who avoid risk. They're the ones who embrace it. Think about it. Every great fortune was built on risk. Andrew Carnegie, Rockefeller, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, they didn't play it safe. They didn't wait until everything was perfect. They didn't save their way to billions. They leveraged, they risked, they failed, and failed again, and kept moving until they won. That's the game. But you're terrified. You want guarantees. You want safety. And safety is the most expensive lie you'll ever believe. Your parents didn't teach you the truth about money because they didn't know it. Your teachers didn't teach you because they didn't know it either. They taught you how to be an employee. They taught you how to be a cog in the machine. They taught you how to follow orders. And now you're stuck in a game you don't understand, playing by rules designed to keep you losing. And unless you wake up, unless you face the brutal truth, you'll die broke, never realizing that money was a game you could have won. Here's the problem. You still think money is about working hard. It's not. If hard work made people rich, construction workers and janitors would be billionaires. They're not. Why? Because money doesn't care about effort. Money doesn't care about sweat. Money doesn't care how many hours you put in. Money cares about results. Did you create value? Did you take risks? Did you solve problems? If the answer is no, then money doesn't flow to you. Period. And don't tell me you're broke because you didn't get the right education. Education doesn't make you rich. If degrees made people wealthy, every college professor would be flying around in a private jet. But they're not. They're broke too, because they don't play the game. They teach theory, not execution. They teach safety, not risk. They teach rules that were outdated 100 years ago. The rich aren't smarter than you. They're not luckier than you. They're not even necessarily more talented than you. They just learn to play the game differently. They learn that leverage beats labor. They learn that speed beats caution. They learn that boldness beats safety. They learn that execution beats dreaming. And once they figured that out, the game was theirs. You're still sitting there clinging to the lies you were taught. Get a job, save money, stay safe. And that's why you're losing. That's why you'll keep losing until you admit the truth. Money is a game. You're playing it wrong. And unless you change, you'll stay exactly where you are. Broke, scared, and stuck. The first thing you need to get through your thick head is this. The game of money does not reward the same thing society tells you it rewards. You've been brainwashed into believing that if you're nice, if you're safe, if you're a good person, then success will just fall into your lap. That's bullshit. Money is not a morality contest. Money doesn't go to the nicest guy. Money doesn't go to the guy who clocked the most hours. Money doesn't go to the guy who saved the most pennies. Money goes to the guy who knows the rules and has the guts to play them with everything he's got. Rule number 1, leverage beats labor. The poor trade time for money. They work harder, longer, faster. Thinking effort equals income. The rich trade leverage for money. They use systems, teams, technology, and capital to multiply their reach. You work 12 hours, they work 2. But their 2 hours generate 100 times more value because they're not trading sweat, they're trading strategy. That's the game. And until you understand leverage, you'll never break free from the hamster wheel. Rule number 2, speed beats caution. You've been taught to take your time, to be careful, to wait for the right moment. And that's why you keep missing opportunities. The rich move fast. They act before the window closes. They'd rather take a shot and miss than sit on the sidelines and watch someone else cash in. Speed is everything in business. The market doesn't wait. Technology doesn't wait. Opportunity doesn't wait. The world rewards the fast and punishes the slow. Rule number 3, boldness beats safety. You think playing it safe protects you? Wrong. Playing it safe guarantees you'll never win. The biggest fortunes in history were made by people who bet big. Carnegie bet big on steel. Rockefeller bet big on oil. Musk bet big on rockets and electric cars. They risked everything while you're still crying about the risk of starting a side hustle. Safe doesn't make you rich. Bold does. The rich don't ask, what if I lose? They ask, what if I win? That's the difference. Rule number 4, execution beats dreaming. Everybody's got ideas. Every loser at the bar has $1 million idea, but ideas are worthless without execution. The rich don't sit around talking about what they might do someday. They pull the trigger. They test. They fail, they adjust, they test again. While you're still building the perfect plan, they're already cashing the checks. The world doesn't pay for ideas, it pays for results. Rule number 5, risk is currency. Poor people think money is the only currency. Rich people know risk is the real currency. The more risk you can handle, the bigger the rewards you can earn. That's why the rich use debt. That's why they invest when the market crashes. That's why they take swings that terrify everyone else. Because risk is the price of entry, and most of you are too cheap to pay it. You cling to your savings, your safety nets, your comfort zones, and that's why you never rise above average. Rule number 6, mindset beats knowledge. You think you need more education, more books, more seminars. Wrong. You don't have an information problem. You have a mindset problem. The rich don't think like you. They don't see obstacles. They see opportunities. They don't see fear. They see fuel. They don't see failure as the end. They see it as feedback. Knowledge is everywhere. It's free. What's rare is the mindset to use it. And here's the kicker. The rules aren't secret. They're not hidden in some vault. They're in plain sight. But you ignore them because they scare you. You'd rather cling to the lies you were taught, work hard, save money, play it safe, than face the truth. Money is a ruthless game that only rewards the bold. The people who win this game aren't necessarily smarter. They're not luckier. They're not better looking. They're just braver. They're willing to play by the real rules while you keep following the fake ones. That's why they win. That's why you lose. So stop whining about how unfair life is. Stop crying about how hard it is. The rules of the game are right in front of you. The question is whether you've got the guts to play them. Let me tell you why you keep losing. It's not because you don't have opportunities. It's not because you don't know enough. It's not because the world is unfair. You keep losing because you're soft, lazy, scared, and programmed to stay average. That's the truth. And until you admit it, you'll keep living the same broke, miserable life, wondering why success always seems out of reach. You've got excuses for everything. You don't start because you don't have enough money. You don't risk because you're scared to lose. You don't build because you don't have the right time. You don't invest because you're waiting for things to settle down. Excuse after excuse after excuse. And you actually believe your own bullshit. You tell yourself these lies so often that you've turned them into truth inside your head. But the market doesn't care about your excuses. The world doesn't care about your sob story. Life doesn't pay sympathy checks. It pays results. And right now, your results prove you're a loser in the money game. You're addicted to fear. You let fear run your life. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of what other people will think, fear of stepping outside your comfort zone. Do you know what fear really is? It's the leash around your neck keeping you broke. It's the invisible chain holding you down while killers are out there cashing in. You think fear keeps you safe. No, fear keeps you stuck. Fear keeps you small. Fear keeps you broke. Failure won't kill you. Rejection won't kill you. Fear will. And until you learn to act in spite of fear, you'll never win a single round of this game. You're lazy. Don't get offended. Look in the mirror. You waste more time in a day than I would in a month. You scroll, you binge, you gossip, you play games that don't matter, and then cry that you don't have enough time to chase your goals. Time isn't your problem. Priorities are. You'd rather be entertained than educated. You'd rather feel comfortable than build discipline. And you think you can somehow stumble into success while living like that? Get real. Success demands obsession. It demands sacrifice. It demands focus. And you've got none of it. Your habits are pathetic. You hit snooze. You eat garbage. You skip workouts. You avoid hard conversations. You make promises and break them the same day. You procrastinate on everything. And then you wonder why your life doesn't change. Success isn't built on motivation. It's built on habits. And your habits are building a life of mediocrity. Every little choice, every wasted hour, every shortcut you take. That's why you're broke. And let's talk about your environment. Your friends are losers. The people you hang out with are broke, average, and negative. You go to the bar with them. You waste weekends with them. You take advice from them. And you wonder why you're stuck at their level. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If your circle is soft, you'll be soft. If your circle is broke, you'll stay broke. If your circle is scared, you'll stay scared. That's why you're losing. You've surrounded yourself with anchors instead of rockets. Here's the brutal truth. You keep losing because you keep choosing comfort over growth. You'd rather stay safe than risk. You'd rather stay liked than win. You'd rather stay comfortable than be great. And life will happily let you rot in comfort until you die, broke and forgotten. The money game doesn't reward the comfortable. It rewards the killers who are willing to be uncomfortable, to bleed, to sweat, to risk, to sacrifice. So stop lying to yourself. Stop pretending you're losing because of bad luck. Stop blaming the government, your parents, your boss, your city. You're losing because of you, your fear, your excuses, your laziness, your habits, your environment. Until you own that, nothing changes. You'll keep losing year after year, decade after decade, until you finally admit the truth and decide to play the game differently. Now let's talk about how killers actually win this game. Because while you're whining, while you're overthinking, while you're crying about how unfair it all is, the killers are out there stacking money, building empires, and rewriting history. And it's not because they're special, it's because they play to win. Period. No apologies, no excuses, no hesitation. They don't play for comfort. They don't play for approval. They don't play to fit in. They play to dominate. And until you adopt that mindset, you'll never move from the stands to the field. The first thing killers do is commit with obsession. Not half in, not I'll try, not let's see if this works. They go all in. When they set a goal, it consumes them. They think about it when they wake up, when they eat, when they work, when they sleep. They don't balance. They don't juggle. They don't dilute their energy across a dozen hobbies. They go all in on one mission and they pursue it until the world bends to their will. That's why they win, because their commitment is deeper than your comfort. Second, killers execute relentlessly. They don't sit around dreaming. They don't waste time building the perfect plan. They act, they make calls, they send emails, they launch products, they risk failure every damn day. And when they fail, they adjust and go again. They don't need motivation. They don't wait until they feel ready. They do the work, whether they feel like it or not. That's execution. That's what separates the killers from the dreamers. Third, killers control their time like it's oxygen. They don't waste it on distractions. They don't scroll for hours. They don't let losers steal it. They know every minute counts and they guard it like their life depends on it, because it does. Every wasted hour is another hour their competition is moving ahead. Every lazy day is another day someone else is cashing the check they should have earned. Killers don't let that happen. They run their schedules with military precision and they squeeze every drop of productivity out of their days. Fourth, killers surround themselves with killers. They don't hang out with complainers. They don't listen to people who tell them to slow down. They don't spend time with people who accept mediocrity. They build circles of ambition, aggression, and high performance because they know environment shapes destiny. If you're surrounded by losers, you'll be a loser. If you're surrounded by killers, you'll rise to their level. It's that simple. And most of you stay broke because you're too scared to cut out the weak links in your life. Killers don't hesitate. They cut fast and move on. Fifth, killers embrace pain. They know success isn't supposed to feel good. They know growth hurts. They know progress demands sacrifice. While you avoid discomfort, they chase it. While you look for shortcuts, they take the hard road. While you cry about how difficult it is, they smile and push harder. Pain doesn't scare them. It fuels them. That's why they keep growing while you keep whining. And most importantly, killers never give tacit approval. When they see bullshit, they call it. When they hear weakness, they confront it. When they sense mediocrity, they destroy it. They don't nod politely and keep quiet. They speak the brutal truth, even if it pisses people off, because they'd rather be hated for truth than liked for lies. That's power. That's leadership. That's what it takes to win at the highest level. Look, killers don't do balance. They don't do excuses. They don't do safe. They don't do average. They live, breathe, and bleed their mission. They make choices that hurt in the short term, but pay in the long term. They sacrifice birthdays, vacations, parties, weekends, because they know those things will still be there when they're rich. What won't be there is opportunity, and killers never let an opportunity pass them by. So ask yourself this: are you willing to play like that? Are you willing to sacrifice like that? Are you willing to hurt, to bleed, to risk, to fail, to be hated, to be misunderstood, all for the sake of winning? Because that's what it takes. That's how killers play to win. And if you can't stomach that, then stop dreaming about being rich. Accept mediocrity, accept average, accept being broke, and shut up about it. Because killers don't whine, they win. Here's the final brutal truth. Most of you will die broke. That's not me being negative. That's me being honest. The statistics prove it. The average person spends their entire life working, stressing, saving, cutting coupons, clipping corners, and still ends up with nothing to show for it but regret. Why? Because they never wake up to the fact that money is a game, and they've been playing it wrong from day one. You can lie to yourself. You can comfort yourself with excuses. You can surround yourself with other losers who tell you it's okay, but deep down you know I'm right. You're losing because you've been living by the wrong rules. You've been taught to fear debt when debt is a weapon. You've been taught to avoid risk when risk is the price of entry. You've been taught to play nice when this game doesn't reward nice, it rewards bold. You've been taught to settle when settling is the fastest path to mediocrity. Everything you were programmed to believe about money is backwards. And unless you rewire that programming, you'll keep spinning in the same hamster wheel until you're too old, too tired, and too bitter to do anything about it. The world isn't short on money. There's trillions moving around every single day. The problem is, it's not moving to you. Why? Because money flows to courage, money flows to speed, money flows to value, money flows to execution. And if you're not showing up with those things, then the game has already left you behind. Stop pretending it's about luck. Stop pretending it's about connections. Stop pretending it's about the system. The game is open to anyone, but only killers win. The final challenge is this. Are you willing to change? Because let's be clear, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always got. If you keep thinking small, you'll keep living small. If you keep chasing safety, you'll keep living scared. And if you keep playing the money game with the wrong rules, you'll keep losing. But if, and it's a big if, you decide to flip the switch, to embrace the brutal truth, to play the game the way it's really played, then everything changes. But change requires pain. It requires sacrifice. It requires cutting people out of your life. It requires facing your fears head on. It requires long nights, early mornings, and years of obsession. It requires becoming the kind of person who can handle wealth, not just dream about it. And most of you aren't willing to pay that price. That's why most of you will never win. So here's my challenge. Stop pretending. Stop lying to yourself. Look in the mirror and decide. Are you going to keep playing the victim, or are you finally going to play the game to win? Because money is a game, and it doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your background. It doesn't care about your feelings. It only cares about results. Either you win or you lose. Either you dominate or you get dominated. The choice is yours. Keep playing it safe. Keep hiding behind excuses. Keep following the lies you were taught and watch your life pass you by. Or wake up, embrace the brutal truth, and start playing the game the way it was meant to be played. With courage, with speed, with execution, with obsession. That's the only way you'll ever win. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop crying, get off your ass, learn the rules, and start playing to win. Because the money game doesn't care about losers. It only rewards killers. And if you want to change your life, if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to win, then for once in your life, start playing the game the right way.